Education will come to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sandy, can you please read our mission and vision statement and take roll?
The mission statement is that Richmond Community Schools will provide a quality education that empowers students to be successful in the global community. And our vision statement is to foster a culture of academic excellence, creativity, character, ensuring that all students are prepared for a success in an ever-changing world. And roll call, Board Member Cunningham. Here. Board Member Michon. Here. Board Member Telto. Here. Board Member Steyer.
Here.
Board Member Gillis. Here. Board Member Sutton.
Here.
Board Member Fortuna here. We have a forum. And our student representatives, Elizabeth Schaefer is going to be late with notice, and then Kelsey McNair is also late with notice, but she may not be able to make it, I guess. So,
Thank you. At this time, I'm looking for a motion to approve our agenda. So moved. Support. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. So moved.
Support.
That was pretty equal. We'll do Sandy. Any discussion? Mr. Walmsley?
Okay, in the personnel report, we have a couple new hires for some basketball coach positions. Ricky Holbeck Jr. for the freshman boys basketball, and Gabriel Schellenbarger for the JV boys, I think it's the JV on the first one, freshman boys, excuse me. And the second one is for JV boys. We have a couple resignations and appointments you're going to kind of see. Stephanie Cabrera is resigning as the secretary at the middle school, but she wants to be the media center, so she's been appointed as the media center. Ashley Gibson is resigning as the assistant LEGO advisor, is now going to be the LEGO advisors, which is kind of a shifting title. Kelly Schlamm is resigning as a PM custodian, but she wants to be AM and PM childcare. It's better for the schedule. So, with the other appointments, Tim Langmeister for the District School Improvement Chair. There were no questions regarding the minutes or the headcount report or the October claims and accounts.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Walmsley?
No, but I just want to comment that it was nice to see Stephanie out there doing her safety sign stuff, smiling and everything out there. It was beautiful to see today.
Thank you. Being no other questions, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on our agenda is our proposed overnight extended trip request.
Mrs. Clore. So as Mrs. Clore and Mr. Knight are coming up, you'll notice that this is also on as an action item, and there's a timing issue that we have in order to be allowed the student and Mrs. Clore to go, so I'll turn it over. They do have your proposal that you submitted. So.
Thanks. My name is Stacy Clore, and I'm the director of the middle school choirs. I'm asking for an overnight trip to Grand Rapids, Michigan on Thursday, January 22nd. One of our 8th grade students, Faye Stackpool, decided to audition for our state honors choir. And an honors choir is for like all of the students in the state of Michigan are able to audition. And she was accepted to our state honors choir as an 8th grader, which is awesome. It's one of our first honors choir first choir students that have been accepted in over 12 years. So it's a really big privilege for Faye. And so we're asking for an overnight trip to Grand Rapids Thursday evening. Her rehearsal is from 12 to 6 p.m. and then their performance is 6 p.m. It's probably about a 2-hour performance with all of the honors choirs. And so we're asking for her to be able to stay overnight with her family and then drive back safely in the morning. This is also in conjunction with our state Michigan Music Conference. So all of the state educators are there from the state of Michigan, and they all come for like a whole from Thursday to Saturday for a conference, and so it's a great privilege for them to perform on stage in front of all of those music educators. And so I'm also asking for not only the overnight stay, but then also I'll be there in conjunction with Faye and her family.
So from a finance, if you recall in the budget process, there's a line item that we put in the elementary, or excuse me, in the middle school and high school for scholastic state. This is where that would be charged, that account.
That is very exciting.
This is very exciting.
Yes, that's great. Good for her.
And she's practicing with people from all over the state of Michigan. So last Saturday, she traveled to Holland, Michigan with her family. And so she was in rehearsal all day. In 2 weeks, she'll be at Marysville High School because they're doing a practice there. And then she travels somewhere in Lansing in early January. And then the final is that big performance there. So
How did they determine who the conductor is?
they vote on it.
Okay.
The Michigan's, the state choral directors vote the year before, and so they have an entire year to decide what programming they're going to do, what songs they're going to do. They're singing, I think, 5 songs. 2 of them are in different languages, so they've got a Latin piece, and they're singing Spanish, and then they have 3 other songs too. So,
Does anyone have any questions? Okay, we will be voting on it later tonight.
all right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is our fiscal year 2025 audit.
Good evening, everybody. Excuse me. I think I'm losing my voice, but not from sickness, from hockey. I think I'm the young mom at the hockey games. The season has started back up. Tonight, I am here to go over your audit. A few housekeeping items, things are a little weird this year. In front of you, you have your PowerPoint presentation that we're going to go over this evening. You also have your actual final audit report. Normally, you also get a smaller report, which is your single audit of your federal boards. This year, because the federal government has not, now it's only because of the shutdown, it was before that it was late too, but we need what we call a compliance supplement from them to issue your single audit. We cannot issue it without it, and that's the same for all Michigan schools, everyone in the United States that gets a single audit. It's not just you guys. So we're waiting for that piece. The state of Michigan did make some changes to the law. Typically, your audit's due by November 1st. This year, November 3rd with the weekend. And they changed it that it will be, your regular audit was due and filed timely. But the single audit will be due 30 days after we receive that compliance supplement, which will be done whenever we get that. So that's why we don't have it. It's completed, we just can't date it until we get that. So as we go through, if you guys have questions, please let me know. Also, I'd love to take questions at the end, or even if you find questions later or throughout the year, you can always contact me at any time. So the first slide we're going to go over is the district responsibilities. This is also a snippet right from your actual audit report, the report we give on the financials. So the district is responsible for maintaining, in general, it says like day-to-day operations. So how your controls are designed, implemented, and making sure that your financial statements are fairly representative. The next slide goes over the auditor's responsibility. And in general, it's to give you an opinion on those financial statements and be able to say that they're free from any material misstatements. The next slide is your overall audit results. You did receive a unmodified, clean opinion, which is what you want. So that's the best opinion that we can give. And in general, that is what it states, is that your financial statements are free from material misstatement, and we did enough procedures to be able to state that. Again, the next slide goes on with your audit results with a little bit more detail. So the top is kind of over your financial statement piece as a whole. Middle is over your federal dollars. So in general, you had no findings. So good news. You had no material weaknesses and no significant deficiencies noted. And then with your single audit piece, we did complete all the testing for that anyways. And you received also no findings. So no material weaknesses, no non-compliance noted in the single audit, and we tested the child nutrition program. The next slide is a little piece of what we do during an audit, kind of from start to finish, looking at your internal control structures, kind of how a dollar comes in, how it gets into the financials, dollar goes out, the process, the monitoring, the review process, all of that. And then we do a lot of planning, the risk assessment, see what the risks are of the district and districts in general in the state of Michigan, and do those tests. And then we always do a different test every year, which we call unpredictability. But I would say, like, Tammy and her team know pretty much everything we're gonna ask, because we come and ask the same things every year. So we always do a different test. It could be vendor testing, ghost employee testing, something, just to add something different once a year. And then tons of compliance testing. I always say schools have tons of compliance requirements. They have federal compliance requirements, audit requirements, and then also the MDE has their own requirements. And I sit on that committee at MDE, that audit manual committee, and they set those, and we go through all of those as well to make sure that you guys are in compliance with everything. The next slide is a snippet from your governance letter, and that too cannot be dated until we get that single audit, but there was no issues that came up in that letter. We do have two what we call management comments, and those are not considered findings, they're just considered things either that are not to the level of a finding or just something we noted that could be improved upon. The first is net cash resources, food service fund. Basically what that means is there's excess fund balance in your food service fund. There is a limit that the USDA requires for the food service fund. It cannot be more than 3 months of expenditures. And it's been an issue with districts really since COVID, probably well over half, probably 75% of my districts have this right now. It's not considered material non-compliance or anything like that because it's going on everywhere. The state's very aware of it. They work with you on a spend down plan. And as long as you're using those funds appropriately, you're not in fear of getting it taken back or any issues coming from that. We just have to notify the state and you as well. And then
We've had that happen before.
Yes.
Last year.
Yeah, we're going to spend down, one of the items that's on your action tonight is part of that spend down
Okay.
plan.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
bought equipment, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very common right now. And then the bank reconciliations, our recommendation was more for a formal review process. Now with technology, things are done kind of over email and Excel spreadsheets, and us auditors, we like things dated, timestamped and things like that. So we went over that with Tammy and her team to do more of a formal review process where you can see the date and time that it was reviewed. The next few slides are over actual snippets of your financial statements, and these are your fund level statements. The first 3 columns are your major funds this year. So we have general funds, debt service fund, and capital projects funds is major. And then all your other funds combined are in that second column from the right. So total assets, and this is as of June 30th, 2025, is $10.9 million. And I always mention, this is accrued back, so things like July and August state aid are accrued back as that like one point in time at that June 30th date. The next slide is your liabilities and overall fund balances for those same funds. Overall liabilities and deferred inflows of resources are $3.2 million. And again, that one specific date and time of June 30th. So you have accounts payable and accrued expenditures being accrued back, things like summer pay and the benefits for summer pay for the teachers, things like that are included in those numbers. And then overall fund balance for all the funds together is $7.6 million. 3.8 million makes up the general fund, and that fund balances kind of broke out into different levels, and they changed those determinations a few years ago, but it kind of goes from most restricted to least. So the only fund that has any unassigned portion is your general fund. All the other funds are restricted for a specific purpose or assigned committed. They have to be used for whatever that fund's purpose is.
What's the under the fund balance for general fund, it's got the 12,748. It says non-spendable. Non-spendable, what does that mean?
Yeah, so that is either prepaid items or inventory items. And those are considered to be non-spendable because the money's already been spent.
Oh, okay. Kind of like a pending invoice?
Well, yeah, it's already been spent, but it's really for next year, so we kind of separate that out of the overall ending fund balance.
Oh,
And
okay.
then the assigned portion is the excess expenditures that was budgeted for 25-26. And that's kind of just a rule of thumb for schools in the state of Michigan, that if that budget, next year's budget is that, those amounts are assigned. So kind of the unassigned is everything that doesn't already have kind of a bucket assigned to it right now.
Okay, so the assigned is just kind of, projected for next year to be taken out of that budget.
Right.
The assigned is when you guys approved the June 30th budget for this year, we said we were going to use $234,000 out of fund balance. If you recall, there was a lot unknown.
Right, I was
We
going to
did.
say,
So
they don't even have the state
that's what we
budget,
had.
but-
That may not be there, but because we said we were going to use it, that's why we've got to assign it and at least account for those dollars.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
The next few slides are over the general fund only, so only looking at that general fund dollars. The first one is budget to actual. You have original budget, final budget, and then actual. You can see your differences. You're right on for budget to actual, extremely great variances there. Also, your expenditures, you have to be under budget to be in compliance. You are not allowed to be over budget or you would end up with a finding. So you want to see that being under. And then also your federal dollars, there's always some difference in federal dollars because they budget based on their year end, which is 9/30. So you'll always see some underages usually there. But overall, your net budget is actually almost just over 1% off of your current operating expenditures. If you're using that as kind of your overall denominator. So extremely close, and you did end up about $277,000 to the good for fund balance compared to final budget. The next two slides are pie charts based again just on general fund. First one revenue, the next one's expenditures, and overall just shows the buckets of where your dollars are coming from for general fund. And overall, if you take local and state together, that's 92% of your overall general fund. Local is your property tax revenue, that's really a portion of your state aid. And then your state also has your restricted state dollars, but really that's your overall per pupil FTE bucket is that 92%. The next slide is your expenditures, again, general fund. And overall salaries and benefits is about 81%, your light blue and orange there, 81% of your overall expenditures for the fund. Also, sometimes I put it different ways, but if you look at it for $1 for every salary, or they spend on salaries, 68 cents is also being spent on benefits. So you can kind of see it a little more clear when you look at the pie chart. Of course, we all know that the cost of teaching is a lot of people cost. The next few slides are some trends for the last 10 years. So first you have enrollment trend ending in 2025 with 1,554 student count. That's up 82 students from 2016 to 2025. And then the next slide is your overall foundation allowance, same 10 years, ending at the 9,608. And I think for 2026, it's up to 10,500. And then again, 10-year trend analysis, next slide for general fund balance, ending this year up slightly at the 3.8 million. And the green line, and you can see it's pretty close all throughout the last 10 years, but the green line is overall fund balance and the blue line is the unassigned portion. And then the last slide is your overall kind of ratios that are looked at. The first one is the financial distress ratio that the state uses, and the second one is the more common ratio that's used mostly by boards and has been for for as long as I can remember, but fund balance as a percent of current operating expenditures is 17.34% for this year, and it's down just slightly from last year at 17.45%. And that is all I have. But overall, good clean audit. We got it filed on time and no findings, so good news there, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Can you just explain to me, back when you were talking about the bank reconciliations, just clear that to me exactly what you meant when you were saying that?
So because a lot of them are done, like, they'll be done by somebody and sent through email for review, there's no actual paper sign off of, oh, I've approved it, reviewed it, and dated it. So we want a more formal process, even if it's through email or online, some way it's still dating that Excel spreadsheet or kind of time stamping it.
Okay.
Because we don't have the paper versions anymore.
Right. Okay, sorry, I just,
No, yeah,
it
absolutely.
just wasn't clear. Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
guys so much
Thank
for having
you.
me.
Thank you. Next item on our agenda is our new middle school courses.
Get us started, and we'll invite our teachers up. So, you might recall last year we started kind of a new timeline and process for new courses. So teachers have two options now of how they can propose a new course. Both of those options are going to start in February or kind of mid to end of the school year. One option would be to come to you around this time of the year and propose a new course. So we're going to hear that from the authorities on 3 different courses. And it would be though for like the following school year. The other option, like a year out. The other option is for them to come just to a curriculum team and ask to pilot a course for 1 year. That seems to be kind of a more popular option right now. So again, the 3 courses that we're going to hear about this evening have been piloted so far this year, and everything is going really well. And so the hope is that the board will approve those to be actually in the course catalog for next school year. Again, somebody could choose to do a little bit more legwork up front and ask to have the course approved without running the pilot. But again, these 3 courses that we're going to hear about today have run through that pilot process and are in the middle of that right now. Also, these are all pre-elective courses, and so you again might recall that last year we spent a lot of time with our elective courses doing some curriculum auditing and kind of redesign and resources, right, and all those things that we brought with everyone last year. So a lot of what was found as far as the need for these classes, I think, came out of a lot of those conversations, especially Ms. Gallagher's creative tech class that she'll speak about. Again, we kind of realized that a few of our technology classes offered at the middle school were kind of overlapping in some ways, and by consolidating, it will give us the opportunity to offer more classes ultimately in the long run. So I will start with Ms. Gallagher. Like I said, one class that is being piloted is the creative tech. And so it's a full year course that kind of combines pieces of all the different technology classes that a student might take. So they get kind of a little taste of everything throughout the course of that year. And then she's also going to share just a little bit about her STEM and agriculture class. So again, I know everyone's very well aware of our greenhouse and all the work that's kind of going into that this year, that she's gotten a lot of outside of the district grant support on. So again, it makes very good sense to us that it would hopefully be an approved course to continue with that work. So I will turn it over to Ann.
All right. I want to take a moment to thank you for your continued support of technology and STEM programs, especially for allowing us to pilot the 2 new courses, Creative Tech for grades 6 through 8 and STEM and Agriculture for grades 7 through 8. These courses represent an important step forward in keeping our curriculum current and relevant. Creative Tech helps students build essential skills in emerging technologies, creativity, and problem solving, preparing them for a world that is increasingly digital and innovation driven. At the same time, STEM and Agriculture connects science, technology, engineering, and math to real-world applications that impact our community and our future food systems. By integrating agriculture into our STEAM program, we're showing students how technology and sustainability work hand in hand. I developed the Creative Tech course because I saw a need to update our technology curriculum to reflect the tools and skills students will use in the future. Things like coding, digital design, AR, VR, and multimedia creation. It gives students a chance to be innovators, not just consumers of technology. STEM and agriculture came from the idea that agriculture today is high-tech and data-driven. By connecting STEM principles to agriculture, students see real-world applications of science and engineering, drones, robotics, sustainability, and they understand how these fields affect their everyday lives and future careers. So I'm deeply grateful for your vision and support providing opportunities that inspire our students to think critically, create boldly, and connect learning to life beyond the classroom. Thank you for considering this. And I'd just like to share a couple of cool things that we're doing in class. The agriculture class right now at the STEM, we just finished a biotechnology project where they learned about delayed ripening, virus-resistant plants, insect-resistant plants, about how studies have taken different proteins and DNA of these plants to make them better so that they can resist the certain insects and viruses and things. I know one of my students, they had to build a prototype, and one of his things was just really incredible to listen and talk about it, but he built this machine that you bring your, it's going to be a virus detector, kind of called virus sensor. So the animal locks itself up, the injector gets injected with this, this little stripes thing, goes in there, close, it doesn't hurt too bad, is what he's saying. And then it will find the virus and extract it. It's not a cure, but it will extract the virus, and then scientists could study the virus more and try to find a cure for it. So that's just one of the things. These are really cool conversations that we're having. I just get amazed by them every day. And then some of the things, I guess our greenhouse is going well. We've got heater up and running, so we are going to be running it during January and February because no one wants to walk out and bring that home, I'll be honest. So we'll pick back up in March once we get done with that. For the Creative Tech class, when I first came over here, I taught web design was a class by itself, and then multimedia was a class by itself, computer programming was a class by itself. And they were kind of, it was really drawn out. It was like, it wasn't as fun and engaging as I thought it could be, and some kids were missing out if they took a web design and then they didn't learn anything about programming, or if they didn't do anything about multimedia. So that's why I came up with the idea to take all of those classes and make them as units into one Creative Tech class. So this year, the Creative Tech, that has 6th and 7th graders by 1 hour, and then I have 7th graders next. But next year, I'll revamp and make it a Creative Tech 2 so that anyone who took it, it's referable to more advanced different things.
That's what I was going to ask.
So,
Are you taking it a
so
step forward after one?
So,
Good.
Any questions about my class?
So how many students did you have in it this year?
Well, the 7th and 8th grade could rock at 10 students, but the next semester I have 16. So this is be a matter of growing it. Once it gets word of mouth, what we're doing and make that class grow. Creative Tech always is. Those are always big classes. I've got 28 and 29 in those classes. Those classes are pretty cool.
And it'll be great too, once it's in the course guide, that helps it to become more public too.
Right.
So during the pilot, it wasn't officially in there yet. It was, like you said, we kind of word of mouth, got kids that are
It'll grow.
interested.
It'll grow once it gets.
And what are the grants?
I just recently received another big grant from L&L Products. So part of the tech is I got some hummingbird robots that I'm going to have that the students will be able to build them and program them. We're going to kind of incorporate it. I'd like to use them both through that class and into the STEM class. So we would like to create a robot that would help farmers. So I'm excited for that. It's another, it was almost $11,000 grant I got from them. So just lots of exciting things. So shout out to L&L Products.
I was to say, L&L has really been.
Yeah, in the past probably, I've probably gotten close to over $30,000 from them. They give back. They're wonderful. Their education foundation is really wonderful. So they're a big help.
So with the funding for the other courses that he was doing before, is this going to need more money to? I understand you're getting grants.
Right. Well, the tech class is really everything that's already done. They're all the classes that we already have. So really, the only added thing was the robots that I added that's different for that course. And that'll just be the maintenance of those. As they robots are usually good. Like we're around 5 or 6 years, they start to get where you might need to start to replace them. So down the road, it might be if it turns out that those are a good fit for our program. And as far as the greenhouse and supplies for that, there's a commitment in the budget to replenish some of the materials that I use for
That's really fun. In terms of the high school, because I think the high school also started something to do with the greenhouse and all that. Does this kind of run with that? Or, I mean, or, you know, if we, it sounds like your
as far as
course
I
is
know,
pretty advanced. Will they be, will that be not as advanced? Maybe not as well?
program uses the greenhouse and that
This is Wallace.
That's Miss Wallace.
Yeah, so Ms. Wallace classes, but definitely, I mean, we, you know, building this, we recognize that this is something that you could take to higher levels, so
Yeah.
definitely something that's, you know, being discussed.
So from the bigger picture, if you look at our career pathways, agriculture is not one that we have in the district. So as we're feeding it in the elementary, middle school, and we're getting that interest, if it continues to high school, that would be then the next evolution, if you will. We would look at that career pathways for agriculture.
And that is another one big piece of the class too. And we studied different careers in agriculture, and a lot of students were surprised that some things that are related to agriculture aren't necessarily ones you also do go to college for. There's also trades, delivery drivers, and greenhouse managers. There's all sorts of things that are out there for agriculture. It's opening their eyes to see something that they do. They just study some people on their paper and make a poster for it and describe what it pays, what the salary would be, what would the training be that you need for it. So it's kind of introducing them to all those possibilities too.
Oh, that's awesome.
So it sounds like they're related, but not necessarily. So it sounds like in the middle school, it's like a skill level 1, 2 class, and then once they get to high school, then it's like a 3 level.
I mean, so that's not what is in place right now, no. The high
Right.
school class that does greenhouse is Ms. Wallace's class, so that's our cross-categorical, our CI classroom that's doing that work. So different than what's there now, but like we said, if the interest continued and we had a group of students that really wanted to continue this pathway, it would continue to build up the skills. Definitely would look at a vertical alignment, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, you can go to Ms. Fleur. Ms. Fleur is going to talk about our Theater 2 class.
So our Theater 2 class kind of was born from our semester theater class. So the last, 10 plus years, we've had a semester theater class, which is kind of an introductory, kind of getting to know what acting is and how to use your body and how to speak and all of the things that acting is. This past year, I was able to begin teaching it again after a long time, and there's always been great interest with these students to always want to continue after the semester. And these students had asked me, well, after first semester, well, why can't we continue on into second semester last year? And so they were really excited about wanting to continue to perform and to continue to learn. And that's kind of when Billy introduced the whole pilot thing to be able to start for this year. And so I had many students that really wanted to do the full year. So many that we were able to kind of develop this pilot class for a full year for our 7th and 8th grade students. And so we started it this year. I have 25 students for an entire year, which is a really large class, but they're doing a really great job of learning how to develop those skills. And then the ultimate goal is they're kind of like, not all of them are high flyers, but a lot of them are, and they're just like more and more and more. So they wanted to have like a middle school drama club, and they want to do all of these extra things, and they just love to perform. And so the ultimate goal, and kind of like with Billy, and I talked with Caitlin Sins, the high school director, is maybe making some sort of collaboration with the high school theater program. And so instead of maybe having our own drama club, but maybe at the high school level, to be able to do that in conjunction, maybe possibly with the musical in the spring. And so all of the students, which has never happened in theater class, they all want to sing, so they all want to do, like, say, a musical theater unit and things like that. And so we're kind of bringing music into that theater space as well. And they're really excited to want to work with the high schoolers. A lot of them are 8th grade, so the idea is that we're going to continue to build the theater program as well. So most of them are musicians as well. They're also in band, they're also in choir, and so it's kind of like the trifecta. So it's really going great.
So if we did, if there was a whole year program, would there be like a middle school production then, or no?
I think it could be a possibility in the
scale.
future, but everything that they've done has been in class. This particular group of students last year, went to myself and Miss Morella because they wrote their own play, and we ended up performing it for 3rd and 4th graders because that's what they wanted to do. And so their final project at the end of the semester, instead of a small project, was they literally made a play from start to finish, rolled in the props, the costumes, everything, the makeup, everything from head to toe. And so these are the type of students that we're working with, which is really great.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to work with these students that really want to be there and really want to do it. So it could be a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, because I know you mentioned like maybe working in conjunction with like the high school theater program, but I just, and I don't know, you would know better than me, I guess, but I just worry about like those middle school kids being a little more intimidated to do that than they would in their own space, I guess.
Yeah, and maybe we start with, this class would be 7th and 8th grade, so maybe it is that maybe it's just 8th grade that has the opportunity and the parents sign off on it to make that an opportunity for them to perform with the high schoolers.
I mean, hopefully they're confident they don't have that issue.
I don't think,
I'm very interested.
They're very interested, and
Yeah,
they're so interested that they are the type of people that want us to like record them when they perform, and that's something that my student, in all these years, I've never had students that have ever wanted them to, and even the simplest of examples and things that we do in class, they want to be recorded and they want to watch their recording. So they're very, very performance-based.
Yeah.
And so it'd be really neat to maybe have them be part of the ensemble in the spring cast.
Yeah.
I know Caitlin's program is growing exponentially, but
She's very open to it because
Yeah.
again, the pipeline. is
Oh, for
very
sure.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
direct
absolutely.
pipeline to that.
Yeah,
So maybe they're not there every day for every rehearsal in the spring. Maybe it's once a week or however that Caitlin sets that up. But I think it'd be a really excellent opportunity for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else have any other questions? Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
I just have a question. So how does the process then go for anyone who's looking to pilot for something next year? How does
So
that?
I think I have 5 on my desk right now. So so the pilot paperwork, the pilot process is a little bit more of an abbreviated than if they were just going to come to us, the class had never run. We're asking for a little bit more, a full scope and sequence, a little bit more in detail on the resources. So if right now somebody was coming to us and saying, I haven't piloted this class, but I would like to run it next year, I want it in the first catalog, we just have a lot more information from them than I ask of the pilot group. So if someone is coming to us and asking a pilot, we don't necessarily bring that to the board yet because it's not official, we're just kind of giving it a shot. So there's the administrators from the building, the counselor, if it's secondary, myself, we'll involve Brian in the conversation. We kind of talk through the logistics again. Is it going to cost money? Can we get by with it? What's it going to do? What's the domino effect on the schedule if we sneak it in here for this year and give it a try? So that team gets together after we see their, like I said, a little bit more abbreviated paperwork on an explanation and smaller scale scope and sequence of what the class would look like. And if we feel like it makes sense and it could fit and we don't see a negative in giving it a pilot, then that curriculum committee approves it for the year. So like I said, I think I have 4 or 5 on my desk right now.
So bottom line, you kept your promise from last year
Yeah.
that a process would happen, and we're doing it.
We are,
Okay.
and yes, so, and the
And
things that are coming through, I think you guys are gonna be excited to see. I don't see why, again, new classes, the tricky thing is, there's always that give and take, right? I mean, there's only so many classes we can offer, but again, like Ann was explaining, we're being very intentional about that. Okay, we have these 3 classes that don't make sense to be a year long, let's combine that, that just opened the door for 2 more classes. So, those are the conversations that we're having, but it's going really well.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on our agenda is our November 4th, 2025 millage proposal update. Mr. Holmesman.
So the point of this presentation is to go over the unofficial results from the November 4th election that we had, and then talk about the next steps in the future and have some conversation about that aspect. So as I'm showing the results, the things that we've been talking about as a team and often some of the board members individually have talked to me kind of trying to figure out why the millage did not pass. One of the things that I said kind of throughout the process, and it was echoed by other people, was given what our world we live in today, some factors may be very personal to people based on their individual situation. So when they went to either cast their absentee ballot or their ballot in the box, their personal situation, what's going on, might have guided their goals. Not that they're anti or against the school system, but they might have some other things. Other factors, as I go through, you're going to see that voter turnout was low. It was well over 200 less voters showed up for this election than our last election. There was some inaccurate information that was posted on social media, and we tried to get as best we could get that corrected or find out about it. We're also dealing with a population in our boundaries that have no students in our district. So their memory of school is from when their kids were, and we are a very different district than we were 4 to 10 years ago. And what surprised me, and I never thought about this, but the more I'm talking to social workers and principals and just teachers, I am amazed how many of our, and again, I didn't realize this, our families were affected by the government shutdown, or as SNAP benefits were, they were, again, I wouldn't say that is the reason, but it's surprising the number of our families that were affected and their budgets were tight during this process. So as you look at these results, and this is circled in red for a reason, because when they compare the official results, they take Casco and Columbus out of St. Clair and compare it or combine them into one. For this year's election, you can see the different votes here, 131 to 221 in Casco, 170 to 312 in Columbus. This is what the difference is from 19. We had 105 less yes votes and 103 more no votes in St. Clair. At the bottom you'll see is Lenox Township. Again, this is compared to 19. We had 107 to 210, 25 less yes votes and 23 more no votes. When we look at Richmond Township, Richmond also had something on the ballot. It was an increase of millage, I believe it was a mill for roads, ditches, and so forth. So there were less yes votes and more no votes cast compared to 19. And when you look at the city of Richmond, combining those two precincts, we had 229 less yes votes and 18 less no votes. That was when you combine the two compared to 19. So when you look at the overall, we were basically 41 to 59% in ballots cast in the overall. Richmond is not known to have ballot initiatives overwhelmingly passed. Generally, when you look at the elections from 2007 on, they're generally about a 52 to 48 margin. This was a little larger than what we had. So as you remember, this is what we were asking voters to do, to continue the no increase, extend the debt out to 2025, which was a 20-year of this new millage, which would have been extended out. And that area, which is the shaded in green over here, was the 51.8 million. So when we look at what that made up, there was really two pots it was made up of, two categories. One is immediate needs, and I'm going to call that the middle school. We are physically out of space at the middle school. There are no classroom spaces that are not being utilized in the middle school. And number two, future needs. Elementary is growing. I think I said there was 2-ish classrooms that are 1-ish classrooms that is not being utilized. High school has a few more, but as those kids articulate to the high school and we begin looking at some of these other programs, they're going to take up space. And so that's what this slide was meant to show, is when you look at this green part, approximately 1.3 mils was for immediate needs. And again, when you look at the total budget of the bond, the good chunk of the money went to the middle school. That's and about 0.4 were futures. It was additions on classrooms to accommodate for the enrollment growth, et cetera. questions or comments at this point? So our natural question that a lot of people are asking is, what's next? What's the next steps? Next steps are what are our options? At this point, I see we have three options. One, we could do nothing. We could say it didn't pass and we're going to figure out how. The downside of the do nothing is there's a couple things. As enrollment increases, even if it's 3, 4, 5 kids, we're not talking significant, larger class sizes are going to happen. Because we don't have the ability easily to start another section, another class, because there's no space. Or, as class sizes increase, at some point we're going to have a conversation, particularly like in 4th and 5th grade where they're self-contained classrooms, and we're going to say we're going to add a 6th 4th grade or a 6th 5th grade. Well, to do that, I have to take a teacher that's teaching multiple classes and have them teach on the prep hours in other classes, which means they're a teacher on a card is often what it's referred to. Not ideal because that teacher doesn't, the stuff in the room isn't creative, it's not theirs for the kids to own. All the cues that they use for teaching, they're a teacher on a card. Another option we have is minimize the courses that run with low enrollment. Because when you run a course or a section with low enrollment, you're taking up physical space for another class. So you want to maximize the number of kids in the classroom to minimize having teachers on card and so forth. The other option is at some point having a conversation of all high school credit classes are run at the high school. So if we have a 7th or 8th grader who's taking high school Algebra 1, their first hour might be at the high school, and then they come back to the middle school second hour. Again, not ideal, and I'm not saying, nor do I want the media to publish this, but we're not doing that, but these are all the options given we have no space. There's not enough room at the elementary school to move 4th grade back to create the space, and there's not enough room in the high school to move 8th grade to the high school. So we're kind of in a conundrum here. The second option is we could try again. As we've talked about when we discussed this and the board approved the ballot, May 5th, the legislators in their kindness to schools limit when we can go for elections. And so we have one more time to claim that is a no increase over current debt rate before it becomes an increase, like we did in 19 and ask for that increase. So again, we could go and ask for the 51, same package, and I'm going to talk about a timeline in just a minute. The third option is we could try again, but a slightly different twist. We could do a no increase with a 0.4 decrease. What this is taking, if you remember that slide that I took that 1.7, we said this is immediate and this is future. We're just focusing on the immediate. And so we could reduce the millage rate, if it was approved in May, by 0.4. This would generate 32.6 million. Basically what that is the middle school projects. And I'm going to go into a little bit what that would cover if we're doing the immediate needs. You can see here, this is, I have met since the election. I have met with AUK, which does the costing out of the project. I have met with PFM, who does all the financial numbers and looks at everything and does all the budgeting for them. I have met with our bond attorney to talk about what type of ballot language and so forth to be able to bring you options to the board tonight. So this is one option. If the conversation in the community, again, I've been spending a lot of time, a good chunk of time, trying to read comments and make heads or tails out of it. I think our biggest thing that worked against us was voter turnout. And once the election is certified, we can get those voter rolls and see how many of our citizens who voted in the last 3 elections voted in this one. Or we can look at how many of our employees that lived in. Not that I can know whether they voted yes or no. That's obviously private, but you can try to figure out why didn't people come to the polls. Again, not having things on the ballot, not being a mid-year, not being a presidential doesn't draw people out to the election as many of you know you're sitting at the table. What this slide is to kind of show you the option 3. This top slide is if we went for a reduced rate in May, reducing it by 0.4. The bottom slide is what we've been putting out for the November 4th election. That's right from our website. The difference between the two in option 3 is, one is we have a 0.4 millage drop beginning July 1 if it's approved in May. So in other words, we're not asking people to pay more. Your millage would actually drop 0.4, but we would focus on the immediate needs. The other aspect is it reduces the debt spread from 20 years down to 16 years. Again, those are some comments that we saw posted. You're prolonging it for another 20 years debt. Again, I don't want to take one comment as being the reason, but these are things that were said. This bond in the 20, the reduced one, we do it in one series rather than spread out over 2. So if you recall, we were doing the middle school, and then 2 years later, we're going to start the elementary and high school. It's all one project. Once the project starts, we have a certain time frame to complete it. If we're doing a smaller bond project, it makes sense to do that from the perspective of economies of scale. Instead of bidding out a bunch of little jobs, you're more likely to have someone bid on who's going to get the whole package, if you will, of electrical or something. And then in this option, you'll notice this yellow arrow. In 2029, it is not shown on this graphic, but we have the option of refinancing our 2022 bonds, which would cause, because they were 5-year bonds from the 22 issue, so around 27, 28 is when we would look at refinancing. And generally that refinance would allow us to create a drop in our millage rate. You could at that point in 2029 go for a no increase, and that no increase could help fund the future additions. Again, there's a lot of moving parts here. You know, in 2 years if interest rates are sky high and so forth, but these are all options that we have as an organization. So when we sat down and looked at, okay, what is it critically that we need, and we focused on the middle school, this is where the budgets fall. So what does that look like? At Lee, it's about 3.5 million. At the middle school, it's about 26 million, almost 27 million. High school is 22, and garage is about 30,000. The garage is a lift. Our lift needs to be replaced. We've repaired it. It's been getting to a point where repairs are becoming more costly than the purchase. But what would this look like? And I just did a 30,000 foot. I didn't go into any details on all this. But basically, at the elementary school, there'd be 3 basic targets. The kitchen expansion, to be able to serve a school that has well over 600 students. The renovations of restrooms, and I'm talking the common in the hallway where it's a boys and girls restroom. And then technology improvements. Some of that technology is our phone system. Our phone system is very old. It is nearing the end, if not at the end. So keeping some of that technology in there. At the middle, it doesn't include classroom addition. It doesn't include parking lot expansion, and it does not include the pre-K playground that we talked about. All of that was part of the addition and shifting them with where the addition was going. At the middle school, it's everything that was basically on the ballot, with the exception of the cafeteria. And part of that is just playing with the numbers. If we actually needed to have another space, the gymnasium / storage room could be used as a satellite serving area for 4th and 5th grade for the future based on enrollment. So from a critical needs, by the addition, you would create a second cafeteria. It wouldn't be a serving line, it would be warming trays that the food's in, wheeled down there, and then they're put out to serve in some type of serving container. Again, it does include the instructional, non-instructional technology improvement, which were part of the original bond. But it doesn't include the expansion of the existing cafeteria. If you recall, that was taking out the stage and all that area and just making a larger cafeteria for the enrollment group. At the high school, it's basically 3. It is the restroom renovations, and if you've been in our high school restroom, many of them are the original. We are having lots of plumbing issues, and we're spending a lot on repairs. We've had some restrooms that we've had to shut down until repairs are done. So that's critical. The auxiliary gym rooftop is it's not the original, but it's an older, if you recall, that did not get picked up in the 19 bond. I don't have any reason for it, other than it got missed, but the repairs are starting to creep up, so that would be beneficial to bring that up to the other one. It does not include classroom addition. It does not include the parking lot expansion behind the auditorium. It does not include the office expansion to put a clinic with a bathroom in the office like the other two buildings. So it is strictly just basically those three topics, if you will. So what I want to share next is any questions at this point? Because a direction, if we're going to go for a May election, there's a timeline that we're getting tight on. And so I just want to go over that timeline with you. If we're going to go for a repeat or go for a reduction. I don't mean that in a negative way, but just as option 2 or 3, I guess. Any questions at this point?
Brian, have you thought about sending out surveys, whether it be to the staff, students, the community, or even really just the community, the voters?
In regard to what are you looking for?
What part of the areas that why they voted no?
I can tell you from the November 4th to today, that has been a conversation that has been on mine as far as, do you hold a survey, do you hold forums to try to get input? The challenge we have is this timeline. And so if I could just go over this, and then I think that might follow up with that. And I tried to build this so that it mimicked or gave you clues to what the November 4th. All right, so here we are right on November 10th. What we have done tentatively, and again, if the board has a different direction and doesn't want to go for it, it's simply a call and say, take off the agenda. The earliest we could get a treasury meeting, because we got to go through that same process again that we did for the November, is December 17th. That is the earliest available. So basically what that would mean is between now and December, really it's the 12th, the document has to be put together. If you remember what we have online, the maps and the enrollment projections, we have to have another enrollment projection done because the one we have is more than a year old, which we've started the ball rolling, at least getting the stuff back, because we're on a tight time frame here. But we have a hearing with the Treasury to go over the application on the 17th. Once Treasury have it, they have 30 days to tell you it's been approved. Okay, let me back up. Once Treasury that meeting, then at that meeting they're going to say, you're good to go, or they're going to say, can you tweak this or fix this part of the application? But at some point, when they say you're good to go, we have a board meeting that you guys have to approve a resolution to send the application to Treasury for their official review and approval. Kind of like a pre-meeting to get it all done.
Just like we did with this one.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Just like we did with the last one.
You got it. So we did that on May 20th last year. In order to meet all the deadline, we would have to host a special meeting either on the 18th, 19th, 22nd, or 23rd. You could do, because once they have the application, they have 30 days to review it before they actually have to let you know. So when you back out 30 days from the 23rd, you're now into January 23rd. The next board meeting, assuming you have the same board schedule, is January 26th. And at that board meeting, you would approve the resolution to put the ballot, or put the bond rule on the ballot. You could do February 9th, unless you had a special meeting, but you could do it on February 9th. The challenge with February 9th is the ballot language has to be in the clerk's office by February 10th. 4 p.m. If it's not there, it's not on them. And so if you're leaving ourselves one day, anything can happen. You guys did it in June. We had till August 4th last time. because we didn't have July meeting, so we had more time. So the question that is, that really I need direction if we're going to do a ballot in May, is do we want to do a repeat, basically go back again, or do we want to do a downsize, reduce the millage rate, and just focus on the critical needs, which is primarily middle school?
So the people that I've spoken to, are you looking for direction?
And, yeah, comments and directions?
I mean, the people that I've spoken to, people that have told me that they had voted no, honestly, they didn't know or have information. And I'm not saying that that's our fault, because we, of course, held a ton of town halls and nobody showed, I get it, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that's anything that we did. I think because they don't, every single one of these individuals, which isn't a ton, they'll say a handful, you know, which I know isn't everything, but none of them have children in the district. And obviously, nobody showed up. Now, I can understand, first of all, I do think that we should try again in May. Now, how we do it, I guess that's up for discussion here, but I'm not sure about changing anything, reducing it, because then it's like we have to get new information out to the people that already do have the information. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's reset. Like, I'm pretty well versed on what we have going on, and then I have to learn new information. You know, which, I mean, I'm not saying I wouldn't, but, you know, I feel like when you look at the numbers, nobody showed up. I mean, nobody showed up to vote.
Why would they
But
show up in May?
Yeah, that's, I guess, what would be the difference.
Sure.
Thing.
True.
Well, here's the thing. Going to what you said about the survey, it makes me chuckle in my head, because my survey question would be, why didn't you come out and vote?
Yeah.
Why didn't you come? Parents, why didn't you come out and vote? I would love to ask that survey question. But I think if you decide you want to do it again, and anyone that was in that room with me the night of the election knows what I said that night, and I'm just going to say that my rage has come down just a little bit, and I'm leaning a little different. But if you're going to go for it again, you don't go for something different, because if you go for something different, why did we ask for what we asked for in the first place? Because the reality is we asked for it because you need it. You need this, but you're looking down the road. And if I take part of it away and just ask for this, and then a few years down the road, I come back and ask for it again, then you have people saying, why didn't you ask, why didn't you prepare all of that stuff? And to answer those people that said they didn't know, because I had some people that said that to me too, and I'm like, do you look in your mail, the stuff that's mailed to you?
I know, I get it.
You get that information of who voted, and you have the information of who the registered voters are, and you find out the people that didn't vote, and the parents that didn't vote, and you focus on those people. Why didn't you vote? And is it because you were lazy and you just didn't, or you thought it's a no-brainer? Who's not going to vote for a no increase? You know what I'm saying? And so you just stayed home. Well, now you saw. And people that voted no, and Brian, I appreciate the stuff, the examples that you gave in that, but I really believe that there were people out there that voted no for different things that have been said and things posted on social media. False information was put out there. Crap was put out there. Just wrong stuff. And so if you read that, therefore it must be true, right? So then you go and you vote no. And so try, even when you try to correct, and the Columbus Township supervisor, prime example of the crap he put out on social media, and we tried to correct it, refused to correct the lies that he put out. So any of those 200 votes that we were different in the thing, if those people believed that the illegal stuff that he claimed that we were doing, if they believed it, they're voting no. So somehow we have to also get those people to understand that person is ignorant and what he's saying is wrong. You've got people out there, guys, who have said that we, people voted, didn't vote for it because Why is it our fault that the board can't manage their money and their budget, and so now they gotta ask us for this? Okay, you can't even understand what this is. What do you mean you can't? Just,
Yeah, they obviously don't understand.
Just look at what our audit said, look what our fund balance is, all the work that we do. So, to me, if you wanna go for it again, I think you go for it the exact same way, and you go after the people that didn't vote, and you get to them, and you get them to vote, and whether it's, I don't know, our teachers union did a great job of joining with us this time around. So we sit down with them and we figure out, how do we get to these parents to vote, and how do we get out to these people that believed this false crap that was put out there? It's not true. A no voter is going to vote no. There are those people that vote no, no matter what. I mean, it's notorious in Richmond. We all know it, that we've been around. They're going to vote no, going to vote no. So that's just a given. But we got to get to those people who just didn't even come out and vote. It's shameful.
No, I agree. I also think that, people's finances are very tight right now, and that's problematic. The only thing I could say in regards to if we went with this plan where we just go with our direct, like, most immediate needs, as you explained. Not that they're not all needed, because they are, otherwise we wouldn't ask for them, but, our most immediate needs is, I guess you are, in a way, setting a message like, okay, we have heard you.
We heard you.
We, have come up with another plan, but Margaret does make a great point, to be honest with you, that we're gonna come back and ask for more in a few years, because this is then gonna be an immediate issue later on.
But
So I don't know.
who'd we hear from? Less people voted. Brian showed you the numbers, the less people. So who do we hear from? If this had been a vote.
Well, who did vote? We heard from those who did vote.
But hold on, I'm saying, had this been the same amount of people or even more people that voted the last time, I might lean towards we heard from you. I don't believe we did. I see. That's where I'm coming from.
I feel like the biggest difference between the 19 bond and this one, though, is that the 19 bond, people were excited. This room was packed. Remember when we were deciding what was going to go in the bond? This room was packed. And I remember sitting in my orientation at the beginning of the year, and Deb and Brian told me about the bond, and what did I say to you guys? It's not fun. And I know that sucks to hear, but additions, it's like putting a new water heater in your house. Nobody wants to spend the money on it. It's not fun. You have to do it. It's the adult thing to do, but it doesn't get people excited to come out and vote. Everybody wanted to come out and vote for 19 because of the turf. Let's just be honest. The turf, I think the weight room, there were some fun things, and we packed this room because they wanted to know, they were advocating for the athletics, and I know there's a lot of people that don't want the athletics, but those are the same people that voted no this time, let's be honest. The people that are like, oh, too much money into athletics, are the same people that came out to vote no this time. And I remember saying, are we going to add anything kind of fun? And you guys were like, no, these are the needs, and I get that, but now it didn't pass. We can try again, but we have to get people excited about classrooms and bathrooms.
Well, I'll tell you.
And they're just not.
But you know what the argument to that is, Sarah, you know what's not fun? What's not fun is running out of space.
It's not.
Possibly having to go back to the days where we had portables. And that's not fun. So the people.
And I get that.
Totally. Okay, but I'm saying, if people don't understand that.
But maybe we didn't emphasize
Stress
that.
Like, this is what's going to
We
happen
have
if we
to
don't.
get people excited about classrooms and bathrooms, you guys.
Yeah.
If we're going to go back to the same people with the same material and the same bond, it's not going to pass with the same message. That doesn't even make sense. The biggest thing is getting people out to vote. I obviously went out and voted yes, but if I didn't have any kids in the district and I saw it, I might be like, well, I'm not going to go out and vote because there's nothing exciting for me, but if it passes, it passes. I guarantee there were so many parents of kids in this district that just didn't go because they weren't excited about it. So they probably didn't care either way.
God, if that's the case, we are in so
I mean,
much
what-
trouble in
what
this
other-
district. If
was
that
everyone
is the
magically busy
case,
that day? No,
Then you know
that's
what?
not it.
Then I go back to what I said that night of the election.
I wasn't there for that, but.
I wasn't. Apparently
Sounds like I should have been.
Because that is a scary statement.
I really
that
think
we have
it's true,
parents
though.
in this district, absolutely,
Well,
oh my
clearly.
God, I don't get a turf field this time, so I'm not
Well,
voting.
I don't know if
Oh
we
my
stressed
God,
enough.
Okay, but we can get, yes, but I think we have to do a better job at getting them excited about what is gonna happen.
That's
because,
what I
like,
think.
So, okay, our teachers aren't gonna have overcrowded classrooms.
I know, because
That's
that's a big
It's a
piece.
huge thing. I think people would,
Yes.
I think we have to say that more. Like, I think that
I would
those
agree.
things maybe weren't
Stressed as much.
stressed, or, I don't know, I don't know
It
what the
wasn't
problem
clear
is.
enough when we said, but there's no room, we gotta make it more clear, okay.
Yeah, I think we
I think
do.
so.
Right.
We have to say it in several different ways.
Right,
to-
because
it
it
didn't
is
work.
not clear when we say, we're running out of room, we got.
It was clear to me, Margaret, but not everybody is,
No,
I mean,
listen, I'm
gonna
sign me
retain
up
the
for it.
information in different
Sign me
ways.
up, write up what we need to say, and I'll shout it from the rooftops, you bet.
Well, we
Yeah,
have an
absolutely.
updated student count, enrollment count now, it is more.
We've
So
been
there's-
talking student enrollment, you and I talked about it last week, where you had people saying about our enrollment, and we've been talking enrollment every meeting.
But how
What
many
our
people,
enrollment
okay,
is.
but how many people, I wish more.
there's like 3
are
viewers,
watching.
my mother-in-law is one
Yeah.
who's not in the district.
But you
Yeah.
guys,
I know.
No,
So where are
I'm
they
saying
getting that
They want to
message?
hear that.
well, why aren't we
They want it
saying
in
it?
their
Well,
face that
Someone's
we need
asking
to.
us a question about our number of kids, why aren't we saying it as board members?
Saying,
Well, I am.
I do.
What are, will you,
Well, I didn't share that personal thing because I didn't know if it was.
because, yes, but it's not
Because
personal.
it wasn't
Remember
on
I
the
said-
site yet. I looked to see and it hadn't been updated. The
Uh,
CTE count.
The counts.
Not
Oh,
CTE,
or whatever.
FTE.
It was the
Our
I'm sorry.
FTE counts.
The whole sheet, I didn't know what to share, what not to, so I was verbally saying.
I don't think that still doesn't hit for people. It's not exciting to say, oh, our FTE count's up. People don't really care, and I hate to say that, but they don't.
Again, God
But
help.
they
They just
do when they
don't.
hear that it's a whole entire class size.
When
Which
they,
is what it was.
when you, if someone came to me as a parent, assume I'm not on the board, and they said, all right, so the bond didn't pass, or if this bond doesn't pass, your child is gonna be going out to a portable. I might be like, holy crap, I need to get out and vote.
Correct.
But we didn't say that. All we said was, we're on space.
Or-
We did, I mean,
Class.
we did, but we didn't.
But we didn't enough,
What are the
clearly.
Yeah, we didn't, I don't think we didn't spend enough time on the consequences if it
Of
doesn't
what's
pass.
gonna happen.
We did spend enough time on the consequences.
I think, I don't know, I'm trying to think of a better
Then
way
let's,
to.
let's spend a lot of time on the consequences.
I think we should.
All I'm saying is,
Honestly.
if we could find a way to replicate the excitement we had in 19, wasn't that like one of the only bonds that passed first time around?
In
It's
a
because
long
we
time?
got the
Well, that's the
community
only time.
excited, the only time.
Yes.
It's because the community was excited about it. We have to find a way to evoke that excitement again if we want this to pass.
So,
Bottom
the
line.
only way
And
to
I don't have
promote
the answer.
excitement is put the fear into them of what's gonna happen.
Well, if we're not gonna
I
add
think
something
so.
fun,
I'm with you.
then yeah, I would say
But
we
we
could
can
add
make
something fun.
classrooms
I don't
fun,
know
can't
what.
we?
I mean,
Classrooms are fun, yeah.
I know they
classrooms
are.
are not fun for anyone but the teacher.
What about
in the
our
world?
kids?
You just said that out loud? That classrooms are only fun for teachers? Are
Do you
saying
think the
that
average person, I don't even know what my
our
kids'
kids
classrooms
don't, our
look
kids
like.
aren't having fun in their classrooms?
I don't even know what my kids don't care if they're in, I went to like the oldest elementary school in the world, Clinton Valley, and trust me, it was like falling apart. And I was a kid, I was like, la, 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 every classroom's great. Kids don't overly care, I don't think, especially like at the younger level. They just go to a class, they have a teacher, they care about if their teacher's
What's going
nice.
on?
Maybe they don't, but the parents should, because there's a lot, you're talking about a lot more materials, you're talking about being more modern.
You guys were using
Okay,
trailers in the parking lot.
yeah.
Because it was before my,
The last portables left just before you came?
I was just gonna say.
They weren't here when I started in 14.
so it was long enough
The
ago
cement
that
machine.
they don't
remember
know,
that or
whatever.
seen
I
it.
don't know what that looked like.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's terrible.
Did you ever see
It's
those
terrible.
construction
It's not-
trailers?
I know what they look like, but I don't, that would be
Because
awful.
Candace, despite what some of these people out here say, we don't know how to manage our money and our budget. We've done such a great job in the last 15 years of a great school district with things going on that, yes, they have no idea. So yeah, maybe we need to paint that picture. Show pictures of what it used to look like.
And we're not targeting those people. In my opinion, that's
Yes,
the
we
wrong.
are targeting.
Not
we're
those
targeting-
people, because you're never going to
Well,
convince
no,
that
no,
person.
No, you're right.
You're never going to convince the naysayers that are literally putting false information out there.
Yes.
They probably believe it themselves, let's be honest, and it makes them feel better about voting no. They don't want to feel like a crappy person, so
I
they
don't
convince
disagree with
themselves that, oh, this is just, they can't manage their money. They find reasons to vote no, because if they didn't, they would feel some type of way about not voting yes for it, so they have themselves convinced, no, this is what I have to do, vote no, because it's just all, nonsense. We're not targeting those people. We're targeting the parents of kids in this district and getting them excited about what's in this
Chose
fund.
not to vote.
Correct. Because clearly not everybody voted. Not all parents in this
Right.
district voted.
Yeah.
So that is our question. And if I'm looking at just that behavior, that's why. They weren't excited.
Margaret, I agree with you, and I remember, and I believe it was the 19 one, where we literally went, we had a list, I walked house to house of those who didn't vote to spread information and why we were doing that. I think that is a valid point of, besides this message, which I agree also with, but I think we would need to look at those voter rolls and let's look to see who didn't vote.
Maybe we can do that, if we choose to do that route, have our surveys and asking the questions there. I believe in a survey, I do. I wish we had
I
more
just-
time.
yeah, we
I don't
don't
know
have
that we do.
Really do a survey.
Yeah.
and
I don't know
like
that we have
Turner
time.
County,
You're going to have as many people that show up to
5
vote.
questions.
Answer that survey.
So at this point,
And who knows if they're being honest, too.
What?
Like, who knows if they're
That's
going to be
true.
honest?
Yes, that's
Like, if
true.
you say, did you vote? And they might all check yes, because,
Right.
again,
they don't want to be known as the no or the non.
right.
Yeah, right.
So, Mr. Walmsley, so you're looking for a direction from the board as far as
Do you want to
option
do-
1, 2, or 3?
Option one, we don't do anything, we figure out the solution. Option two, we
Go right back.
go right back at, same thing, 51.8 million, repackage it. But basically, the only thing that would have to change in our application to the Treasury is we have to have updated enrollment projection number. Basically, everything's done. Or option three,
Which was the
which is
reduced.
the reduced one, we'd have to have, because, Friends and Associates does the drawings for the application, they would have to revise those documents. We'd have to get the enrollment projections. We've already got kind of what was the critical need from AUK, so some pieces are already done, but.
I'm a fan for reducing, and here's why. I personally don't think we should only focus on those that didn't vote, but the ones that did vote, that voted no. It was in every district. It was,
But we don't know candidates.
But I think they
who vote.
voted no, but I think those
because
no
of the
voters.
financials, because of the uncertainty that's out there right now, all around. And I think that would be a compromise, showing them that we would be willing to figure out something else for some things, or buy them time during this uncertainty time. And then we could redo it again, whatever.
The only way.
They're gonna
that-
say no again.
Well, yeah, but the only way that I could even follow that logic, or that thought, is the fact that if by voting no, the rate going down doesn't happen for a year. So it's not like by voting no, their taxes went down, because there were people online that were wondering why when does their stuff go down? So it doesn't happen for a year. And
July, yeah.
okay, and so if you go and you say, okay, we're gonna change this, like I said, the problem that we're having, that we're full, those kids are gonna move to the high school, and in a few years, you're gonna turn around and we're gonna have the problem in high school. By doing this now, we're getting ourselves ready so you can go years down that we're not gonna have to ask for this stuff, and the different refinancing down the road. with different, with the bond rates and that kind of stuff can happen. In the middle of this, the 2019 or 16, where we did refinance and the
Refinance
taxpayers got money back,
Yes.
right?
We reduced it and dropped it. So we
Yes.
dropped the millage rate 22, 23, 24.
We didn't hear anything about it. Nobody said anything.
We said we did
We
it.
did, but they did, nobody really recognized that it went.
Well, I would hope when you.
Well, if your house,
Because
if your
they're-
house value goes up, you don't see it.
So-
Yeah.
Until you look at that number and
Right.
I would
I'm
probably
just
say the
saying-
average person doesn't
I'm just saying
understand that
The problems
number.
are gonna still be there down the road, and as a board, all you're doing is kicking the can down the road,
Yeah.
leaving it for,
But they're the taxpayers, so
I'm a
the-
taxpayer too.
They're the ones that get to make the decision. If you make it seem as if we are working with them. I mean, I just wish we could
No,
have more
listen,
time for a
I-
survey.
Listen,
That
I'm
would be
saying to you,
ideal.
I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I'm saying that we're all taxpayers too, and we're gonna pull this away from you now, but 4 or 5 years, we're gonna come back and ask you for it, and we might have to ask you for it more, and it's not gonna be a no increase. It could be an even bigger increase
Some
than what we're
expenses
asking
have
for you
gone up.
now, and we
I
can take care of it all
understand.
now.
I
That's
understand why
only
we
where
need
I'm
it.
coming from.
Right.
That's all
I
I'm
understand
saying.
that part. I
So,
think we're-
if I can chime in here, let's talk about. So, my opinion is of that potentially the third option of asking for a reduced rate, and here's kind of where I'm at, and I do like Sarah's thought about like the rebranding of how we're asking this. I absolutely agree with that, for sure. But so the voting difference between the yeses and the nos are approximately 11%. Now, we're only going based off of, we got less people that went out voted, but the overall effect was 11%. That's a pretty big margin in my eyes. And so what is the reason for that? Brian went over some of the projected reasons of, why we think that it came out. I think in the economic status was a big factor. We got the government shut down, and I really do think that was a big factor, is uncertainty, If we have the opportunity to lower our taxes, why wouldn't we? Because right now, for any foreseeable future, they could be getting less to take care of their families. And whether they have kids in the district or not, who wouldn't want to lower their taxes? But I think if we go with the third option, it's kind of a, look, this is our compromise, if you will, while still trying to get some things done. And even if, we're absolutely going to have to revisit in the future and ask for more money. Based off of, what we're looking at, what we're trying to do, it will happen. It won't be as much if we can get this much of it passed right now. And I think we would have better luck doing that than, asking for the full money again, because we were so far apart between the yeses and the nos. Regardless of whoever went out and voted, I think that was a big margin. So I would be in favor with kind of rebranding it, getting it out there again, and obviously some of the stuff that was put on social media, all we can do is try to educate people the best we could. I thought throughout the process, the board as a whole and went out there and tried to get into the community and get the information out there. And so I don't have the answer to how to do that better, because with all the attendance of going to the different township meetings, Brian, I know, worked his butt off doing that, and some of the other board members that also was able to go out and do that, advocate for the bond. I don't know a better way to do that than what was done, but I think that it just, and people that voted no, some of the things that I was hearing from people, it was, and I didn't really see anything glaring that we overlooked. And we tried to put the information out there, but I just think the asking for less, rebranding it, and kind of showing the community, hey, compromise, but seriously, we really do need X amount to move forward.
The downside of rebranding, I wanted to make sure, put out, just think of a time frame. If this passed in May of '26, you're talking at least a year for drawings, state certificate approval. So you're not breaking ground until summer, fall of '27. It's at least a year, maybe a year and a half before you have occupancy, so 27, 28, the 28, 29 school year. And then that following November and 29, you potentially have the opportunity to go back and say no increase. And they're just really seeing the project finish. Now, you could say, you know, now we have a better enrollment numbers, you might not need to go back as a group and you have better enrollment, but if the enrollment numbers there, now you sell that as, okay, these kids from when you pass this to this time, we've got more kids. So we just got to get, we're a year behind now because of, they would have started this January and it would have started probably next fall, the construction. But again, I'm just getting two options out there, trying to understand what people were looking for in this election and splitting it between critical because we're out of room versus we're going to be out of room. I mean, again, elementary's big.
So it'll be critical in a couple of years.
It will be
Right.
critical.
I don't, you know, because I was thinking about the two as well, because I had the same initial thought, like, okay, well, if we did do the reduced thing, like, you know, we are maybe sending a message, but after really looking at like the numbers of who showed up to vote, or who didn't, I guess, I feel like, and just the information that I got mostly was like they didn't have the information, and I do feel like we do a little bit, I guess if we're gonna call it rebranding, you know, I agree that we have to get it out there in different ways so that people really truly understand what it means if it doesn't pass. But I'm actually for trying it again in May.
Opposite.
Yeah, for the full, yep. I truly am, until I see like more numbers at the polls.
But it's an off time to vote. I mean,
No,
what else
May-
is there in
what I was gonna
May?
ask.
What else is there?
It's an even year, so it's probably a governor.
What?
I know there's elections next year, for sure.
Not-
'cause I already-
not in May.
Not May.
But not in May.
So what would be on the ballot in May normally? Anything?
That would
Well,
draw
like-
more.
No, but it's just get, like, but we're gonna be sending out the same message, only, you know, and with additional, I think, ways. And so it's gonna reach more people, and, you know what I mean, gives us more time to send this message.
It's gonna go
We have
after
to
the
figure that
people
out.
who didn't vote.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yes.
But that's not, the difference between who voted in 19 and who voted is not the difference that we needed.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the registered voters.
We can look at now.
Parents in this district who did not vote. I'm not just talking about from the 19 to
Yeah.
this. I'm talking about
Right now.
what parents did not come out and vote. Those are the people that you gotta get to. And when
We don't have to draw up all these new plans, sorry, Margaret, I'm
No.
sorry. We don't have to draw up all these new plans and all of that as well, like, I feel like we just need one more opportunity to get it out there.
Well,
I think no showing to the polls is giving a sign, is giving us a sign.
Yeah, it wasn't enough to get them to the polls. 'Cause they
Right,
weren't.
that is them
Or-
saying no.
Or,
Some of them did know.
or they thought,
No people show up to vote, yes, people sometimes don't.
right, or they
Yeah.
thought, it's a no-brainer, it's gonna, whatever the reason. But if rebranding, and I'm not sure if rebranding really was the word
That
that
wasn't
you
my term,
used.
but I'll take it.
Right, because I'm not sure, I like the word rebranding, but if
It's
it's
just-
if it's going after showing, hey, people, here's what's gonna happen
Yes.
if we don't get this. And we didn't do that. I don't know why we needed to do that, but maybe we do need to do it this time to get people to understand this is what is going to happen. If we can't get this, so parents, here's what, and maybe we find pictures of what our portables, what that looked like. Well,
Well,
some of
and
these
I-
parents went to school, went to classes in those
I think my
portables.
husband did.
I think
We're just
I would
focusing-
think they did.
Yeah,
If
think
we
I
are
remember
just
it too.
focusing on parents, then maybe we could draw up some sort of an email type survey. If that is really what we're
focusing on.
But
I think
but
the
a survey
focus
for what?
should be on the people that voted no versus the people that didn't go out to vote.
Yeah.
I disagree. There are going to be no votes.
They're going to be no votes.
No votes are no votes.
What we did in 19 is we looked at the voter rolls for those that showed up to vote the last 3 elections.
Yes,
Yep.
And we targeted those households
Yes.
because the
Yep.
odds of them, they're gonna show up to vote
yes.
this one. Again, what's coming to vote, there could have been other things on the ballot that they had
They
more
draw
choices or more, but they felt more safe, but
Yes.
May's, it's us. So we gotta get them out. What worries me in May is it's spring
Short
time. I
sports
know.
season, it's spring.
It's spring period.
Dairy Queen's I'm just saying, all the stuff that you do in
Only
the evening, a
location
nice,
at Dairy
if it's a nice night,
Yeah, really.
you're gonna
You
get
get a
people
free
going to
Dairy
vote
Queen.
who are on the fence. That's all I'm saying.
Well, the rebranding, it would be based on what do they want? What, not what do they want, but what areas, you know, if we offered all the areas, the bathrooms, the this, the that, you know, just to be heard, maybe they just want to.
We can't change it anyways.
I think it would be.
What
Not
do they
after
want?
we fill it out.
Yeah,
That's
not
what I
after we
said.
do the-
It's too bad we don't have more.
I think it's a timing thing. I do,
Yes.
even though I think, you know, doing the same thing again, if we're not changing anything, I don't think that's smart. So if we are gonna just present it differently, I would be supportive of going all in with the full millage, because if you're trying to get people excited about something to vote, you don't wanna only impact the middle school families. If I'm a high school parent and you're doing nothing for my kid at the high school, I'm less likely to care and come out and vote.
Good
So
point.
at least this way, you can target parents of all 3 schools. You get some people excited about something for their kid in particular. People don't really care as much, but it doesn't impact their family. So I
A
would
good
say we
point.
keep it the same.
I agree. I would like to keep it the
How
same.
you guys all done?
Please.
But go, Danielle.
Like, it's found Sandy over here, I'm like, I'm just not gonna
Just do
interrupt.
it.
Like, I just
No,
can't.
go, you gotta go.
She's loud enough.
Jump in.
No, I think I was initially, when we had talked on election night, Brian had thrown the idea up there just in passing about going fuller, and that made sense, but hearing the conversation today, I think it makes sense too, but to go off of kind of what Sarah said, like the portables and things, and what are the consequences of it, like, I think that's a great strategy, because me thinking back, so when I was in elementary school, literally the next year, when my sister was still there, they were putting 3 portables in the back of the playground. So you're looking at parents who are probably in their mid to late 30s who can relate to portables, and literally some, I was in Utica schools, but had portables at their schools, and it's a little more relatable to them of, you know, throwing that out there, hey, if we don't have this, we're gonna end up having portables, and they can picture that, because, like you said, throw the pictures out there, but some of them have literally been in it, been in a portable. And then, I forgot what my other piece was, because there's too much on me. Oh, yes, thank you. I know Margaret had mentioned that one of the comments was talking about, oh, they're not being fiscally responsible. Well, that's a marketing strategy too. If we're doing it now and we're asking for the whole amount now, we are being responsible, because in 29, when we have to come back, prices increase, and we're looking out, yes, we need, or even conveying, yes, we need this right now. And yes, it's 1.3 or mils, whatever, but this 0.4 mils, we don't need it right now, but we're being financially responsible and taking advantage of doing it now, because otherwise, if we go to do it in 29, we're gonna be paying a hell of a lot more in just inflation in general. So you want us to be fiscally responsible, this is us being fiscally responsible with that 0.4 mils, otherwise that 0.4 mils could turn into 1.5 or 1.7 in 2029. But I think having the portable relation and fiscally responsible, if that's the feedback we're getting, then it just makes sense.
How about, I'm just going to add one more. How about class sizes too?
I know, that's what I was
Jeff,
going to say.
the big
We have worked
Yeah.
so hard
To get
on
them
our
down.
class sizes. How about that, throwing that out there too, that class sizes become larger.
Well,
Let's
and I
put
know I had
35 kids in a
mentioned it.
classroom and take a picture and put that out there.
Yeah.
I've
Well,
lived
and
it.
I mentioned it in that one post that I
you
responded
did.
to on Facebook, like, if you vote no, a no vote is bigger class sizes, because where else do you want me to put them?
Right.
You know, but then the next person who complains that the class sizes got bigger, well, what did you vote?
Or did you vote?
Or did you vote in this case, because the numbers were so low? But, I mean, absolutely, I mean, you want to keep a classroom of 20 to 25? Well, then this is what needs to happen. I mean, when I first started teaching, I had classes of 38, but like, that's insane. You know, so like, it's amazing to have those, but we can't have those forever if they're not going to give us a space.
I just wanted to follow up with what Danielle said, just to make sure, if you go the whole 51.2, it's 2 series, because if you put it all in one,
Right.
you're gonna have to levy more, and it will be an increase. And it's a cash flow as we get the dollars, and the project's finished, at some point you hit a low cash point, you sell the next series, which then reduces the amount of interest you're paying, because it's just not sitting in the bank.
I think she meant all in one.
Got
Do
it.
it.
But the thing that I want to recognize is the budget that's in the 2 series, we have accounted for escalation costs with, based on, if it's going to be done in 28, what's the average escalation for steel? We've accounted for that in the
Well, we can
budget.
do it right now for 1.7 mils, whereas if we extrapolated that out to 2029, it might have really cost 2.4.
Yeah.
The other thing that, Danielle, that you did the night we were watching the numbers come in, you had given a figure of, well, this works out to $1 a day, or $1.10
70 cents to $1.24.
per, depending on it. Maybe that's another piece of that.
For just
Yeah.
$1.
Yeah, we're going to be adding a classroom or something like that. I'm just thinking that rebranding thing
And
again.
we did that in a former district, it was 34 cents that we put on Lily, 3 dimes and 4 pennies, and every a little placard on everybody's desk, on your badges, which is 34 cents to get you, and it was a passage of the bond. So it's a way of getting that
Getting that
message out that
message
it's
out.
not,
Well,
again,
and I-
same concept.
And I think if we are going to educate about what it could look like if it doesn't, I just want to say, I think we have to be very careful how we do it, because we can't have it come across looking like threats.
Absolutely.
Right,
Yeah.
so I
Yes,
think
you're
it
right.
is going to be, but I'm
Absolutely.
thinking like maybe teacher testimonials of what it was like teaching in
Yes.
portables,
Oh, there
and
you
what
go.
it's like with higher class sizes, because I'm sure,
Yeah, being
a
on
lot
a cart.
of the people in this district, families, they really respect their teachers. I mean, we do too, actually, but a lot of our families really look to the teachers and respect what they say. If there were some things that went out of like little testimonials, what they feel when a class size is higher, or what portables like, I think, or even community members that were taught in affordable, because there's still so many of them here that live here, maybe what it was like to have to walk, and, I don't know, maybe that could maybe evoke more emotional kind of response and get them like, ooh. But I think, yeah, we can't have it come across as like,
Like even the
Right.
advantages of being able to teach in classrooms of smaller sizes.
Exactly.
And that kind of
Yes.
stuff, and the benefits
Yes.
of that.
Pulling
When
it
you-
up
and when you
positive.
look around in
Exactly.
surrounding districts where it doesn't happen, that's
Yes.
a good promotional thing.
I think we do it that way. I think there's a right way to do it, and I
Yeah.
think we can do it that way. So even if that is our rebrand, it's just coming at it from a different angle. I think that could maybe help us.
So what I'm hearing pretty much from everybody on the board is that we're giving you the direction to go for it again,
51.8.
whole thing.
And we want to address, we want to, I hate the word rebrand, we want to go at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Well, we already have all that information out there, so let's get some new information out there.
exactly.
That's,
Different
yes,
Perspective.
yeah.
Yep, a new-
Yeah,
different
instead of
perspective.
rebranding, it'd be marketing it differently.
There you go.
I like Danielle
marketing
said, just a
better.
new perspective.
Exactly.
Okay, everyone set on that? Okay, we're going to move on to our next agenda item. I'm looking for a motion to go into closed session.
Pursuant to MCL 15.268, Section 8H of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, I move that the Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of considering material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute.
Do I have support?
Support.
Any discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Margaret?
Aye.
Candace?
Aye.
Sandy.
Aye.
Raymond.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Danielle.
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries. For our people in the audience, we will be finishing up our meeting when we return from closed session. Okay, we'll go back into open session at 9:16. Okay, next item on our agenda is our Blue Devil rates. Margaret.
Okay, bear with me. I've got a few. Okay. Want to rave about Trunk or Treat. That it was really fun at Lee, and just shout out to Deb and Sandy and Candace and Kelsey, who did our board trunk or treat. We had so much fun that night. And Brian and his wife Tanya and Tanya's dad, they did a trunk or treat with their vehicle. And to our Elizabeth, who was a tattoo artist for the kids, so that was fun. Want to shout out our boys soccer team. Did really well this year. Want to give a shout out to our soccer coach, Ryan Williams, one of our teachers here in the district. And this is his third year. And when he took over the team, they'd only won 2 games. Last year they won 4. This year they won 10 games, and they lost in the district semifinals. And I only got to 1 soccer game this year, but I'm hearing nothing but raves about Mr. Williams and his positive influence on the team, so I just want to shout him out. Shout out to our varsity football team. Had a 9-2 season. It ended on Friday against Frankenmuth. Frankenmuth was a very formidable opponent, but shout out to Coach Misko and his staff. What they did with that boys team this year was great. A shout out to Miss Zabo, Miss Borwick, and Mr. Trend. At the game Friday night, there was just a couple of things that happened, some things in the stands, behind the stands, and I mentioned to Brian, they did a really great job of getting things under control, the 3 administrators, and I was proud of them and them working together. The food service department did a food contest last week that I attended, and Candace and Deb will probably talk about it too, but each building did, it was Mexican food, and they had something that we could try to eat, and then we had to vote on which one was going to be the winner, and the middle school won their chicken and cheese quesadilla. But the food was great, and they played Mexican music, and they decorated, and they dressed up and everything, and it's food that they presented so that they're looking to make that for the kids, you know, so they were having us try it out to see, you know, which one would win, so the kids will be eating that food, so that was really fun. And I just want to, with respect to the bond, our teachers union, Cheryl Jar and Christy Crampton and the rest of our teachers. I've been around a really long time, and we've had many bond issues, but this was the first time that our teachers union came to us and wanted to help. They got the signs, they were the ones that came to Brian to get the signs, they paid for the signs, got the signs passed out, and just kudos to them for all the effort that they did to get those signs out there, some of those really big signs that they put out around the district, and it was just really a really great thing to have that support from the teachers union. And then last, the Ron Clark Academy, that a lot of us know that we have had teachers and administrators be able to attend the school down in Atlanta. Brian has gone this summer. Danielle and I were able to go. And Lee School has started full steam ahead with a full implementation of the house system. So I had been talking to Mrs. Mooney, and so just wanted to give a little shout out to them on what's been going on. They've got the full house system going on, and what it is, you know, it's the 4 different houses, And each student, at the beginning of the school year, had the ability to get sorted into a house. It was a, what's the word I'm looking for?
A random selection.
Random selection,
yeah.
yes. I'm talking too fast for my reading. Randomly selected into the houses at the beginning of the school year. It was a very fun day. Teachers also have been chosen to be in houses. They did that before school started. And everybody has a t-shirt to represent the house that they're in. Houses are in colors. So all the students in the building and staff wear their shirts every Thursday to represent their houses. And each house the students are in, they have the ability to earn points for their individual houses. And you get points based on great behavior, kindness, treating others with respect, and overall being a true blue student. The students love earning these points, and data is showing a decrease in behaviors since the implementation. They are going to have prizes and some reward ceremonies. They're getting prizes for attendance and all of that, but it's just a really cool thing that is happening at the elementary, and I know that the middle school is talking about getting something started for houses for them as well, and there's the teachers at the high school that attended the Ron Clark Academy. They're doing things in their classrooms, and one of the things at Ron Clark, their teachers teach on what they call stages. It's like an elevated platform, and the idea is when you're talking and teaching, you're above the kids, so the kids can see you, they can see everything you're doing, and our teachers were excited about that, and I had talked with Brian, and so I sent out an email. We had a meeting when we came back this summer, and there were teachers that were interested. So there were 9 teachers that were interested in, they wanted stages for their classrooms. So I was able to find somebody who's going to make the stages for the teachers, and that person is Mark Misko, and Mark is the dad and father-in-law to teachers Sean Misko and Corey Misko. He lives here in Richmond, so he is building the stages for them. I'm hoping they're going to get them, if not this week, next week, so they're real excited. There's someone in each one of our 3 buildings, teachers that are going to be able to have these stages, and they're going to decorate them and do whatever they want in their classrooms, but real excited about that. So hopefully, once we get those in the rooms, we can take some pictures and we can put them on the website, but it's just really exciting, the stuff, and I know there's a group that is down in Detroit doing some Round Park stuff tonight, right, Brian?
Yep.
But it's exciting, and I'm very into it, and Danielle is too, where we both just loved being there. So I'm going to try to keep raving about it and get information what's happening in all 3 buildings. It's really cool. Thank you.
Sandy? So I'm going to be much quicker than that, but I just real quickly though, just wanted to reiterate a couple things. I also did the trunk or treat. I thought it was great. Devin, Candace, did the decorating and all of that, got us all situated, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much. All I had to do is show up. But that was a great turnout. It was a fun time. I like to do that. And then also wanted just to say, thank you to the teachers union, to Brian, to all of the staff, the board that worked on the bond initiative. We did, a lot of work went into that, and so I just appreciate everybody that did do work for that. That's it.
Sarah? I don't want to be a broken record, so I think I'm good. Everything I was going to say is what's it.
Candace?
I will be. So same thing, just thank you to everybody who volunteered and helped towards the bond. It was a disappointing outcome, but we're resilient, and I think we'll all come together and come up with something, and I don't think we should skip a beat on that. I'm very proud to have seeing how everybody collaborated and worked together, especially with the teachers union. And also, thank you to Kathy Gimme for inviting us for the Mexican Fiesta lunch. I left full, and I even had to take home box, so congratulations to the middle school. I think the kids are going to be very excited about the winning option.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah. And congratulations to the varsity football players. I did also want to just put a shout out throughout this entire football season, being a part of the band boosters now. Just having that, I know you've been exposed, Margaret, to the football and all that, and it's just amazing to have seen all the collaboration between the parents, the cheerleader parents, the marching band parents, all of us just all season coming together, and I think it showed in the stands with the spirit and the pride, and I just think that it was a great season to be a part of. So thank you to all that collaborated with that, too, the athletic boosters as well. Just everything. It was a great season.
Good. Raymond?
Just to echo some of the other comments about just a real shout out and thanks to all the people involved at all levels. Too many names to mention in support of the bond, and unfortunately we didn't get the result we were hoping for. But you know, perhaps we can make some changes and have better luck this next time.
Thank you. Danielle?
Well, Margaret stole some of mine because I love RCA. I would go there in a heartbeat again if I could. But I wanted to say thank you. I believe, Ryan, I'm not sure if maybe I'm wrong, but I had heard that PTO had been, who had paid for the
PTO paid for
yes.
the shirts for all the kids.
Yeah, so thank you to the lead PTO for paying for those shirts. One, because it's amazing it was so cool to see them pass out, and two, I'm so glad I'm done hearing, when am I going to get my shirt? But literally every single day since the house chose him. So I think, like Margaret had mentioned, I know there was concern in the community of, you know, it wasn't truly random, and even Jackson came home, and when I went down to RCA, I picked green and I picked Isabindi, and I told him he better come home green and Isabindi. He's like, Mom, the house I don't get to choose a house. The house chooses me every single time. And I was like, well, just don't be this color, don't be that color. He's like, nope, the house chooses me. I don't get to choose the house. So they were 100% gung-ho with that. He's even gone as far as he came home with a shirt and asked me if he could add blue things to his Christmas list so that he could have more blue to where he's got blue pajamas and blue shirts and blue everything on his Christmas list now. He's telling all the aunts and uncles about it. So that's really cool too, to see it passed down to, because our families across the state and even out of state, so traveling that message, you know, over the miles, I guess. But also to mention about the stages, I know Margaret mentioned like the students being able to see the teachers, but one thing was really nice, and they mentioned there, is that the teachers can also see the students, and that took away a lot of discipline issues because the students in the back of their mind knew at some point that the teacher can see my desk now, or see what I'm doing in my lab, or see what I'm doing here, and so it minimized those classroom disruptions too in the long run, because the teacher was hired and kind of could overarch, you know, see from a better perspective of the students. But and they also mentioned keeping your hands above your waist. And now, even though I'm virtual, I try to make a point to keep my hands in the view of my camera when I'm teaching on a daily basis now, because they have mentioned keeping your hands above your waist is students are more apt to pay attention because they can see your hands and there's movement and things going on. And so they have that rule at the school there. You can't have your hands below your waist while you're teaching. So I make a point of doing that in class too, but it's definitely an amazing thing. And Margaret and I have been talking about some ideas and throwing around some ideas for future PD for the teachers and things. So I'm excited about that.
Thank you. I think you guys have all hit everything on my list but two things. I had the football varsity team, again, same thing, the trunk or treat. the cafeteria, the food service lunch, that was a lot of fun. And it was very good. So the two pieces that I'm going to add to our list here is I'd like to congratulate Tracy Thornburg. She received her pupil accounting specialist certification. So we now have her certified on our staff. And then the other piece that I want to shout out to is Preston and the staff that works our fields. I've been not only attending our high school games, but I have a grandson that plays in the Little League. And it really goes really well here. Everything's handled, taken care of. It was just really good to see that, here's our community teams coming in, the little kids, using our fields, and everything went smooth, there were no issues. So I just want to shout out to, I know Preston's part of that, I'm not sure who else, but for working with our local community level with our younger kids. Okay, next item on our agenda is our student, our student board event. So Elizabeth?
At the high school, there was CTE advisory board dinner and meeting on Wednesday evening at 5:00 p.m. They'll be running all program meetings on the same night with the dinner and overview. They look forward to having business partners in the building with them. The play, I think it's called just Dracula, is November 21st and 22nd at 7 p.m. or November 23rd at 2 p.m. Tickets are $15 or $10 for students and seniors. There have been multiple field trips that have been taking place with the Michigan Career Quest being the next one. Students will have the opportunity to explore careers in 4 areas, including health sciences, manufacturing, construction, and technology. I went to that a few years ago. It was very cool. The middle school had a great district provided PD day. Sorry, tongue twister. They had PLCs during the morning, and the afternoon session they talked about the 1%. They discussed the Royal Clark Academy and the 55 Essentials. They're putting a committee together for implementing the house system beginning the next school year. Which, when I'm in my classroom, the house system is very cool. Like even today, like my students are like putting stuff. I think they were like cleaning up something or whatever, and like they got like a house plane because they're cleaning up, and it gets them so excited to like just do like small things like that. So it really is awesome. Wrestling and girls basketball started last week, and they're very proud of their team. Sportsmanship and dedication were evident in their efforts. Honors art class visited one of the art classes at the elementary school and created a project with the younger students. Look for them to be displayed at the District Art Show on December 3rd. On Tuesday, November 11th, 2025, they are holding their annual Veterans Day Assembly at 8:45 a.m. They're looking forward to this very awesome event. At the elementary school, they are inviting their preschool families to Thanksgiving feast on Wednesday, November 12th. Families will enjoy some Thanksgiving treats and snacks as they celebrate. During the event, students will hear a Thanksgiving story read by Mr. Gibson and participate in a discussion about our PBIS topic for the month, Thankfulness. Each child will also take home their very own book to celebrate the season. It is going to be a great evening for the preschool families. For athletics, varsity football wrapped up their season with a big win over Armada in the first round of playoffs. It is the first time in school history we have beaten Tigers in the playoffs and twice in one season. They traveled to Franklin with last Friday and lost to a very talented team. A big thank you to the athletic department, to all the fans that made that trip out to support. Varsity volleyball wrapped up their season with a hard-fought loss to Alabama in the district quarterfinals at Marysville. Congratulations to sophomore Mason Peterkowski for qualifying for the MHSAA cross-country state finals for the 2nd straight year. His time at the finals was just shy of his personal best. Winter sports have begun at RMS and will soon begin at RHS. That's all I have for today.
Thank you very much. Anyone have any questions for Elizabeth?
The art show that's December 3rd, is there time for that?
It's generally during the concerts. December, there's
okay.
an elementary
Okay.
concert, that's
Okay.
3rd through 4th and 5th. They're doing an evening, and then the middle school have theirs, and the high school, and the band and choir.
So it's on display?
Yeah, it's on display.
Okay, all right, thanks. Thank you. Okay, our next item is our superintendent legislative update, Mr. Holmesy.
Just add to the RCA, the other day I was asked to come to the elementary school because there was a student who had made a Halloween bag for me, and every time I was there or he was there, was not there, or he was there and I wasn't there, so they asked me, can you come over and get this Halloween bag? So I was there and I was walking through the hallway, and there was a kindergartner and third graders were walking in the hallway, and they do the zero voices in the hallway so that they don't talk. So I don't know if it's a new thing or what they did, but the two kids did their zeros but kind of fist bumped each other because and I asked them, is that your friend? He goes, that's my house buddy. But they were two different grades that probably in the system they would never have really interacted. So I think that is the part of the power of the house. It's building something beyond what they are. It's about community. So I will start with the federal legislation. It looks like the federal government shutdown appears to be ending soon, so stay tuned for what's going to come when they open back up. At the state legislation, the House Education and Work Committee convened several bills last week, and they were reported favorable to the House floor for consideration. Of these bills are House Bill 4813, which modifies the interstate compact to allow for educational opportunities for military children. Basically, it's making their enrollment in schools easier and more streamlined. House Bill 4895 allows continuing education credits to be used to fulfill the online certification requirements. It allows more of that to be done for your professional license. Given a lot of professional development is online, so it opens that up. House Bill 4922 eliminates the licensing required for school libraries, so it's a certified teacher. House Bill 5049 to House Bill 5054 is all about the EpiPens. I think I talked about this a couple meetings ago. Just waives kind of how the devices can be used to administer more in a child care setting, expands it. Again, it's going further. Further discussion and review. The committee took testimony on House Bill 5044, which is about the new requirements for behavioral health services in school. There were representatives from the Michigan Association of School Administrators of Special Ed who testified in opposition. There were people from the Autism Legal Resource Center that were testifying in support. Basically, what I can make of this one, it allows outside agencies to provide their services during the school day and charge Medicare. Which is competent. Some of that is weak documents of Medicare, which could create a conflict because you can't have two bills at the same time and so forth. So there's a lot of opposition we're seeing where this is going. I don't have a whole lot of details on it, but this is one that we're watching because it could affect our Medicare reimbursement. I say that broadly because it's part of the whole ISD and the funds, so it's not necessarily Richmond, but there is a piece that we have, and so we are watching that. District updates, you heard about the trunk or treat. There was a lot of kids, a lot of kids, and it started to be a cold, rainy, but it kind of cleared up, so it was a great night. I do want to thank Mrs. Upchurch, Mrs. Riley and her husband, formerly Mrs. Walla, and Mrs. Fields. They represented the district at the City of Richmond's Treats Not Tricks event on October 31st. Thank you, Ms. Fields, for getting ours to be the front display so kids saw us first. The cutouts that we had for the trunk or treat as well as the city went over with a lot of families, I'm told. They took pictures with them, so it was a good positive event for us. Actually, on November 4th, the three kitchens competed with the dazzling dish. The middle school gets to proudly display their trophy in their kitchen. Look on the December menu will be the Mexican meals that were in the cook-off. So they're trying to incorporate all three of them, but they definitely want to make sure the middle school gets in first, as that was the winner. The next one will be in January. They'll do another cook-off either on another menu item, or possibly a breakfast item. They're deciding. Echoing, we have another group of 15 staff members who attended tonight's Ignite the Classroom, including Mrs. Mayuni. So I'm looking forward to hopefully they've got the message that you get a trip, and you get a trip, and you get a trip. We're at Ron Clark this summer, so we will work towards that one.
Did you say 15?
15, 1-5. I wanted to echo what you guys talked about with just a heartfelt thankful to everybody who participated in the bond. It was a lot of work in trying to get information out there again. Wasn't the vote we wanted, but we still remain to our mission about providing the best education for kids, and then we continue to move on. And finally, I have one last thing, which may be a surprise to you guys. I am retiring effective December 31st of this year. It's not been an easy decision, so this is found in my letter of retirement from the district. Serving the students and staff. Serving the students and staff of this community has been an honor and a career of my career. I'm deeply grateful for the trust this board has given me and placed me. As you can see, this has not been an easy decision. Together, we built something very special in this district. Excuse me. A strong, stable district. We have a first-class staff. We have programs and modern facilities, and a shared commitment to put students first. From new career pathways to championship extracurriculars heard tonight, to improved communication and financial stability, everything we've achieved through the teamwork, dedication, and belief in our mission. I've tried to lead with compassion, optimism, and a belief that people grow when someone believes in them. And not every decision has been easy or popular, but every one was made with the best interest of our students at heart. As I step aside, I do so with gratitude for our students, our staff, this board and community, the relationships and memories and the lessons that I've learned over the last 3 decades in education are what I carry with me long after I've packed up my office. Finally, I need to express that my deepest sympathy, deepest thankfulness, deepest thanks to my family. My wife is here tonight. My children have sacrificed over the years. They've given up weekends, evenings, and countless family moments so that I can be present for this position and my previous positions. They supported me in good times and bad. They've stood up for me in difficult ones. They've loved and understood and had patience and made it possible for me to give so much of myself to this work, and I couldn't have done it without them. It's truly been a privilege to serve as superintendent of Richmond Community Schools, and I thank you for your trust, your support, and the partnership in making Richmond a place where students and staff can thrive. Thank you.
Okay, next item on our agenda is our items of interest. I'm going to go first this time, only because of the news that Mr. Walmsley shared. I'm sure we're all going to have some questions. How do we proceed? Where do we go from here? I ask that you give me till next Monday. We do have to have a meeting next Monday for his goals, so that I can get a hold of the district attorney, talk about what our next steps are and what we will need to do, and I will have some answers for you hopefully on Monday. If there are questions as you progress through the week, please email them to me so that I can hopefully get some answers and we can have a direction on where we will go. Okay, Sarah, anything?
Well,
I'm sorry, do you want me to?
No, I just was formulating it. That is a lot of news. Brian, you're going to be missed significantly. I know working for having 7 bosses is gotta be just in personal hell. I mean, I can only imagine how terrible that is. I feel like you have navigated it well. Over the years, I mean, I've only been on for almost a year this time, but I was on for just over 4 years last time. And I've seen a lot, you've been through a lot, and the district's been through a lot. You've always, and I've always said this, you've always had the district's best interests at heart. You've done an amazing job in so many different areas, financially. We're in a great place, just bringing things, curriculum, new talent to the district. You've done an amazing job. So I do feel like there's going to be a hole, and whoever takes over is going to have some shoes to fill. I've always appreciated just your forward thinking and the conservative mindset that you take, because I feel like that's how I am also. So I think I've always aligned with you on that. So you will be missed very much. My other thought is, I wish I would have known that before saying let's go for the bond in May, because now that brings up a whole lot of questions for me about who's going to be taking on that responsibility. If we're appointing somebody to be like an interim superintendent, are they going to be able to acclimate to the job and appropriately kind of repackage this bond the way that we want? Are they going to have the knowledge, the experience, and the time to commit to it the way that we want? So I don't know if we have time to kind of regroup on that at the next meeting.
We can talk about that.
But I feel like that's something, like a whole different conversation to have. And that's
Thank you.
Can I?
Go.
You need to think beyond person. You got to think at the district level. Because there are things that you can put in place that will get this bond.
Well, and maybe if you could help us be a part of that conversation, because in my mind, I'm like, oh, yikes, that feels like this is not a long time for you to do, like, you get everything ready for us to kind of have it ready to go, but maybe you could hope, like, instill hope in me that it would be okay, because right now I'm a little concerned about going for a May bond if you're not a part of it. That's my thought.
Candace.
Yeah, I had worked on summarizing the courses that I took. I postponed on that. Save it for the next meeting. Brian, I hope that this is for good reasons and you get to go enjoy your life and do good things outside of the district. And thank you for all that you've done. I do agree with Sarah. I would hate to have to pick a new superintendent based on your bond experience.
Well, they're not going to be hired.
Right. I mean, and have that be like leading, so obviously, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll have more information for you. Next Monday, we can make sure that that's part of that discussion and what we want to do. Okay.
I thank you, Martha.
Danielle?
I'm good right now.
Okay. Margaret? I'm good. Sandy?
Well, I am shocked. And so I am actually gonna, I also thank you so much for your service, Brian. I think that you've done great things for this district. I appreciate you and everything that you've done. And I know all of you're always here, so your family too. And I wish I had been able to prepare something a little better, but you are going to be very missed. And thank you.
Raymond?
Yeah, one of them. Wasn't expecting that one. I share the sentiment, that Sarah and Candace was putting out there, some concerns moving forward, but yeah, Brian, that's a long time. And I do think, that you did a great job over the years, and especially since I've been on the board here, that I've paid attention more about the financial responsibility and just how you manage that. I thought you did an excellent job when it came to that, and I do recognize all the sacrifice that your family made, and I haven't met them, so I want to say publicly thanks to them as well, because I know what it's like to have to give up the time from your family to have that higher mission, right? The job and what you put into the community and all those days that you put in and how hard you work for the bond to get that through and all the additional meetings and things that people didn't see. And thanks for that, you know. And yeah, I guess being short of words because I wasn't expecting it, but good luck moving forward and with the future for you. I wish you the best.
Okay, next item on our agenda is public comments. Since the last board meeting, the board has not received any emails, and there were no public comments that needed addressing from the last board meeting. At this time, any member of the public will have 2 minutes to address the board. Please sign in and state your name. If you wish to follow up, please provide contact information on the public comment sign-in sheet. We have one.
Well, I'm like, wow, I had to come up, I would say a whole lot more, but I just want you to know that, I'm not trying to do that, but, that you offered opportunities for me that I probably wouldn't have. And, it's gonna be hard shoes to fill, that's all I'm gonna say. Been here 32 years, and, you've done more for the school than any superintendent you've ever had. And I know that you have naysayers, we all do, pretty people don't like me too. Yeah, it happens, it happens, but, you've done so much, and I just hope you know that. But I wish you the best of luck, both of you. I just know you are getting, you have done a lot.
Any other public comments? Okay, being no other public comments, we'll move on to our action items. I'm looking for a motion for the approval of a contract with Steel Speech Services LLC.
I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the contract with Steel Speech Services LLC to provide in-person speech and language therapy services to students until such time that a certified speech-language pathologist is hired as an employee of Richmond Community Schools as outlined in the attached agreement. Furthermore, the board authorizes the superintendent to execute and implement the said agreement.
Support. Thank you, Margaret. Sarah first. Any discussion?
What is in there? It said something about a cost difference is minimal. What are we looking at for the cost difference on that?
So the virtual had a set kind of contract rate for the whole duration of the contract for the whole school year, would not exceed that amount. Whereas this company does bill hourly, but we're basing it on the same amount of hours that we planned for that virtual. So it is possible that, if she needs to go over slightly or under slightly, it could happen because her billing system is an hourly billing versus that straight agreement plan that we had kind of with the other contract. But, looking at numbers, it should be relatively the same. We're planning on the same amount of hours, so it should work out to be the same in that.
The benefit is it's in person. It's a physical body working with kids rather than putting them in front of a screen with a parapro getting their speech services. Again, we're still trying to find a body.
Yeah, still posted.
A good body. Well, sorry.
Any other questions? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Margaret. Aye. Sarah.
Aye.
Danielle.
Aye.
Raymond.
Aye.
Sandy. Aye. Candace. I vote aye, motion carries. I'm looking for a motion for the approval of the Richmond High School cafeteria cabinet refinishing.
Move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the Richmond High School cafeteria cabinet refurbishing by Albers Family Cabinets for a total not to exceed $20,195 plus 10% for unknown site conditions for which funding from the food service fund is authorized and outlined in the attached documentation.
Support.
Any discussion?
This is primarily the big register desk and so forth. It's actually cheaper to have it refurnished than to buy the new equipment to replace it. And they haven't found something they like, so they really like the unit. So they get it refinished and brought back up. It was put in 1996. So it's had a lot of wear and tear.
Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Margaret? Aye. Candace? Aye. Sandy?
Aye.
Raymond?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Danielle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries. Looking for a motion for the approval of the overnight extended trip request to Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent and approve the overnight extended student trip to Grand Rapids, Michigan as outlined in the attached documentation.
Support.
Support.
Where do we get it? Okay, we'll get right. Okay, any discussion? Okay, this will be a roll call vote. Sarah? Oh, I'm sorry. Raymond? Sandy.
Aye.
Sorry. Okay, hang on. I'm sorry, guys. Let me get my Okay. Sandy?
Aye.
Raymond?
Aye.
Candace? Margaret?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Danielle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries. Being no further business, the board will adjourn at 9:57. Thank you, everyone.